Good morning, Bellows Falls and Keene. It's Mike and Marty on the feed, and here we are with our guest today, Groot.
He was in town for 3 weeks.
He sort of has a residence now. Isn't that
residency.
enough? I think he can vote in village elections from now
Well,
on.
he wanted to be here because he was interested about our topic today.
Yes, which will be the Bellows Falls Festival. That's going to be coming up here.
Coming up in 2 weeks.
Yeah,
Not even.
But here we are, May 31st. We made it to the last day of May. Any turkeys that survived now get to go for until October.
Oh, because it's right, it's turkey hunting season.
Today's the last day of turkey hunting season. We have a big flock of turkeys that come in.
I actually encountered a turkey coming on the road between Walpole and Keene.
Yeah.
Walking literally down the middle of the road, right? Mm-hmm. And I pull up and I slow down and he's just walking. And I finally had to really hug the side to get past him, and he was just walking. He wasn't moving.
This year has been amazing because we'd never seen turkeys around our yard before. Mm-hmm. And this year they've been, since the snow started to melt, they've been in almost every day. And they are the funniest things to watch. And they have gotten to where I can be sitting out reading and the turkey will walk by. And it's like, aren't you guys supposed to be afraid? Isn't there like some sort of survival mode or something? But no.
So that's one thing we won't have at the festival is turkeys.
Okay.
But anyway,
but first, we have to go to local events.
Local events.
Don't get
jumping
ahead there.
I know, I'm jumping ahead. So at the Bellows Falls Opera House this week, we have Spider-Man, Across the Spider-Verse.
That sounds intriguing.
I know, because there haven't been enough versions of Spider-Man. But I don't know. If it keeps selling and people keep going, then
if it makes money, keep doing it. The classic, it's like John Wick.
Stop. I know. I won't share my opinion on John Wick again. Classic movie this week is Just Mercy. It's actually in honor of Bill Lockwood and is being sponsored by Michelle Boslin. On Friday, June 2nd, that's this coming Friday because I have to switch that we're into June now. Yeah. Next Stage Bandwagon, the Summer Bandwagon series, is continuing. It's happening this week at the Putney Inn. So as you know, they move it all around. And I will apologize ahead of time if I am not pronouncing the name correctly. But the artist is Kieran Aluwalia.
Oh, okay.
I think that's as close as I'm going to get. So that's at the Putney Inn. On Saturday, June 3rd, I want to remind everybody that Parks Place is having a fundraiser that they're calling Little Ones and Loved Ones. Mm-hmm. We had Jen here, what was it, a couple weeks ago?
Yeah.
Talking about her concept for this. And it's $25 a couple, a little one and a loved one. But there'll be some snacks, and you get, I think she said, a swag bag. Mm-hmm. And Chrissy Lisa will be taking pictures, and
that's gonna be cute.
Formal attire is encouraged so that you can kind of have this little
sort of
a dress up thing,
child dress up thing.
Yeah, which I think it sounds fun. So that's this Saturday at the Moose Family Lodge at 7 p.m. And then Sunday the 11th, the day after the Bellows Falls Festival, up at the Rockingham Meeting House will be a celebration of life for Ray Masuko.
Do you know what time that's starting?
Noon.
Oh, okay.
Noon, and I know that they haven't announced who the music's going to be yet, but I'm sure it will be one of the bands, probably a band from Roots.
Yeah.
And definitely one of Ray's favorites, I'm sure. Yeah. And one that can go acoustic because there's no electricity there.
Right, there's no electricity. It'll probably be like a gospel
there will be,
sort of
thing.
And
there is limited seating within the
building
house,
itself.
But there's plenty of room on the property.
Okay, that's great.
We're encouraging people to come, even if they think they can't get a seat, they can be outside. And
but there is quite a bit of seating inside, just to be honest.
There is. But there's not a lot of air inside.
That's true.
Well, if they have all the windows open, it's not as bad.
Yeah.
But it could get a little stuffy. I've heard from other
usually reliable.
Well, because Roots historically was either, if I remember correctly in the history of Roots, it was either like 110 degrees and humid, so it was really, really, really hot, or it rained.
Yeah.
They never seem to encounter
that perfect 70-degree day.
They just never did. Now, hopefully, the Bellows Falls Festival will be changing
that tradition. I hope so too. So, tell us about the festival, because to be honest, wasn't the festival sort of
partially
your brainchild and the Rotary?
No, it wasn't really Rotary per se. It was pretty much. I think we can attribute the whole push behind it to David. David Stern. So he came and he pitched it to the Rotary, and then we supported him. Yeah,
see, I didn't know the order of events.
Yeah,
because I knew it's sort of Rotary is the force behind it.
So David's a Rotary member, and next year he'll be the Rotary president. And so he knew that we would, being the nature of Rotary to do community things, to support community events, and then certainly to support things that members bring to the club, he knew it would probably be a fairly good sell.
Yeah.
And a good partnership, because we've never done a festival, but we've done a lot of things.
Oh, you did Paddle Battle. You've done all sorts of different.
So we have a little bit of history organizing things, not quite organizing a festival. So I think how it goes, and if David's listening, I apologize if I haven't got the exact story. But when David heard that Ray wasn't going to do Roots anymore, he had, I think, actually talked to Ray about the possibility of some other entity himself and some other entity continuing it, because he thought it was important to the community, because it did definitely, you could always tell Roots weekend, because there were more people in town, and it just seemed like there was a different vibe. And at one time Roots was even in different areas in town. They had the Thursday night,
they did
and
a Thursday, a Friday, and then Saturday and Sunday.
So David wanted to kind of continue the tradition, but actually bring it back into town, so that it was accessible to people. People could walk to it, which I think is important.
Yeah.
Because then people can relax. Say if they wanted to have a beer or two, they can, and they're within walking distance. It's a little bit. There was no option for that. There was no bus that bussed people up to the Roots Festival. So he wanted to have it in town, and he wanted to change the I guess it would be the genre of the music a little bit, and maybe I think the Roots music was kind of niche.
I think it was too.
That's
a fair thing to say, because it was Fred Eaglesmith.
Right.
Totally
I couldn't. He was totally niche.
And then it sort of moved, but it was always that sort of genre, that sort of country. I don't even know how folk country, electric, whatever.
Not sure what you
Canadian
call it.
country.
Not sure. Anyway, so he wanted to change the genre. So he posed it to the Rotary Club. And also he's got his group of the players, the Wild Goose players. They're community involved. They like to do. They like to perform.
Yeah.
They like to and this could be potentially. I don't know about this year, but it could potentially be. It's like a fundraiser for both entities, so it could be a win-win for the entities that are sponsoring it, and then also the public having a nice local festival that you can walk to.
Right, exactly.
On a nice location on the canal.
Yeah.
So that was the biggest challenge at first, was to figure out exactly where to have it. There was some thought of having it at the Robinson Paper Mill, that plot of land, which is a nice plot of land, but it doesn't have electricity. It doesn't have a lot of the minor things that you need.
It would be a bare bones.
It would be a bare bones. Plus the idea of, if you have a huge open field, and you maybe don't get as many people because it's the first year, then it looks sparse. But if you put it in a smaller location, and you don't get a lot of people. And there's just the accessibility. Right.
Well, and that's a nice venue, really. When they did Old Homestay down there, that was always nice. It was very, they would wire up the parking lot, so there was electricity for vendors there, and they would do all this stuff. And it was a nice walking place to go. So
it is, and you've also got that grassy area that people kind of forget about. So we decided to do the Waypoint Center. David, laid it out, and the nice thing there too is the bands are covered.
Yeah, so that's really important.
It's hugely important. While you still have to worry about rain and about people coming, we will have a tent. There will be a tent set up that will accommodate, I believe, about 200 people. I think about 200 chairs are going to be under the tent. Just in case of the rain. Usually going to a festival, that's kind of a perk, actually, because usually going to a festival, there's precious little covered area unless you're willing to pay for VIP tickets. So that's, to me, that's a perk of the festival, is that we're providing that without, an upcharge to the VIP area. Donovan's will be there selling the adult beverages. There will be food vendors. We have Tito's Taqueria coming from Brattleboro. We have Sarah DiBernardo coming with all of her smoke and bowls
Oh, that's
goodies.
great, because they've just upgraded to a brick and mortar place.
Yeah.
So I've looked, their menu looks like it's really expanded, and they really have...
Their menu is expanded. We went up one night for they're doing a Thursday night burger and brew kind of thing. We went up, we sat out they had tables outside. It was a beautiful night. It was good burger. I didn't have the brew, but I had a soda. And I don't know how she finds the time, but she still was willing to come do the festival.
No, that's great.
And
back to the taco place, because they started as a food truck and then went to a brick and mortar also,
and now they have their food truck.
And now they have a food truck and a brick and mortar.
Yeah,
so that's
I know.
cool.
Again, I think unfortunately in the restaurant business, you got to
You
got
really
to come
have
up
to
with
keep on top of it.
all these
Yeah.
revenue streams. And then the Moose Family Lodge will be there.
Oh.
And then
So do you know what they're going to do, or are they going to do?
So the Moose does like burgers and dogs.
Oh, okay,
kind
cool.
of your basic burgers and dogs. Sarah always has something creative.
Yeah, really.
And then Tito's, of course, the tacos.
Yeah.
And then a little bit, not necessarily in the afternoon. I think later in the day, Jamaican Jules is coming.
Oh, great.
Now,
And
I'm
they
not sure
always
if
have
Jamaican
good
Jules is coming and Tito's is leaving. I'm not clear on that. I don't have. David's been really running point on this.
There, because they don't have overlapping menus.
They don't, but I think it was a timing thing.
Oh, okay.
I think that's why we did it that way, to make sure that we had three at all times. We had three vendors.
Yeah, okay.
I think there was scheduling for Jules earlier in the day, and I think there might have been. They only had a certain amount of time with Tito's, but I'm not. Again, David has been doing pretty much the heavy lifting on this, so he knows more on point than I am. So those are the food vendors, and then Parks Place will be there. Selling some nice fresh squeezed lemonade.
That's always good.
That is. Well, it's good because not everybody partakes of the adult beverages.
Exactly. Yeah.
So there's not Jamaican Jules, Parks Place. And then the Women's Club is coming, I believe, in the afternoon. They haven't given me the exact time frame. And they're going to be selling their world-famous baked cookies.
That's great.
Or baked goods.
Yeah. Well, I hope they do it, because they used to do the cookies all the time for the Santa thing on for the free movie just on the first. And then the cookies were always really good. They were as popular as Santa.
They were as popular as Santa, and I think I remember when we would set the trays out, setting up for the event. I might have sampled a couple. I'm not sure, but anyway, they were very good. They were very good cookies.
That they're safe for the children to eat.
So that was another part of the concept that David had, was to make this not only about the music but about community. And so there will be some vendors. I think a few craft vendors. I know at least one jewelry vendor.
Nice.
Somebody else, I think, selling some craft items, and then I believe there might be some other nonprofits that might have booths there with their information. Like we are trying to get, we haven't heard back, but Rich Earth to come with the pea cycling.
There should be plenty of that.
There should be plenty of need for that at a festival.
By the evening, and after a few.
So there will be a lot of. There's a face painting. Someone coming doing face painting for kids. And then there's also somebody that's bringing some kids' games, like lawn games. Yeah. So again, David's idea was to really make it family friendly too. So it's a festival that you can come and go in once you've checked in and you got your wristband. You can go and come back, which is unusual for festivals. But again, trying to make it accommodating. Like maybe the kids come in the afternoon, but they don't want to stay the whole day, so the parents bring them home and the parents come back, and so it's a win-win, right? The kids are getting an outing. So let's going to go through the lineup.
Yeah, let's go through the lineup.
I do have pictures.
Okay. Do you know the order of the lineup? Or
I do. I actually have.
Great.
I wrote that.
That's sort of important, because if people want to say, well, there's a band that's my favorite band and I'd like to go, it'd be good to know where they are in the lineup.
So kicking off the day at 1 o'clock, and I don't know the exact time, so I could give you 1 o'clock, and then I can give you when Sarah Borges starts. Exactly. We have Ben Jennings, the Ben Jennings Quartet.
Okay.
So they are, I believe they're out of Keene. They've played at the Molehill Theater a few times. I apologize, I can't pinpoint all of the genres of the bands, but in listening to, we all, as the Rotary Club, we all got to listen to a bunch of bands that David recommended, and then kind of cull out who we had as the top.
Yeah, that's
the
an
top
interesting
few,
process.
And then it was a process of, okay, who could come and who couldn't come,
right,
and how could we afford them, and all those type things. So, I would say that the majority of the bands play a pretty eclectic kind of funk groove, almost bordering on like a jam type from the few clips that I've seen.
Okay.
So I know that I think, actually getting to the next band, the Gaslight Tinkers, I think they are a band that people are going to recognize that name, because I recognized it. I don't remember from what, but they've definitely been in the area before. And they have they're the band I believe that has the fiddle player. So it's a fiddle, but it's also like fiddle with some funk and groove stuff. Yeah. So I think what you'll find is you may not find. You may not know what to expect. Like when I went to the Steel Wheels concert,
right?
I had no idea what to expect from Steel Wheels. Like I knew,
but it turned out
to be really cool. So I think that's kind of the interesting
same
idea. That just show up in
because Steel Wheels was a surprise. I thought it was a bluegrass band, and it turned out
it was totally different.
Neat stuff.
And then of course everybody knows Milkhouse Heaters, so that's a known entity.
Yes,
Jan and
very
Mike,
good local
original
band,
music.
do all their very good. Been around a long time. Started out as punk rockers.
I know.
And
I love when they share their old photos on
So
on Facebook. And did we put up a screenshot for? We don't have for Milkhouse Heaters?
No.
I know. Well, okay.
All right.
Anyway, everybody knows Mike and Jan, so we'll give them an extra plug because we didn't get their
really
visual up. I apologize. And Keen Pride will be coming. They'll be doing one performance, one quick little, I think, 15-minute act.
Okay. And
then the next on the agenda is Blue Motel, and I don't really know much about Blue Motel. They were kind of we had the beginning of the day and the end of the day, and we weren't sure how to fill the center, or David wasn't sure how to fill the center. So Blue Motel was a band that he came across, so they're coming. Now we're getting kind of into the headlining.
Yeah.
So the Mammals are the next to the last band. Again, they're looking like, again, kind of a fiddle and funk and a little bit of everything. And then finishing the evening with Sarah Borges. And I did listen to a few of her songs, and I think she's going to be a little more rockin'.
Okay.
I think, a little more high, finishing out the evening with that. And then there will be, to round out the total festivities, the Wild Goose Players have been keeping it very much under wraps, but they've been they're planning a little
like
performance,
a finale performance.
Yeah.
Is it going to be like musical?
I would think it might. It might be. Does it sound like or looks like? I think it's probably going to be one of their usual spectacular surprises.
Oh, okay, good. Well,
I would assume there would be some music involved. Some type of music, because that's kind of what they do best, and maybe some. I don't know, some wonderful sets. I know they're building the set right now.
They have a set?
There's a set, because they're logistically.
What would David be involved with something if it didn't have a set?
Exactly. So this, there's some thought that's gone into this.
He and Vanessa have sets for dinner.
They could.
They
could be.
We're going to eat the Thursday. We need to put up the Sweeney Todd set.
So it's going to be a full day of activities. This goes from 1 to 10 at the Waypoint Center. Tickets are available at bellowsfallsfestival.org. We actually did a dedicated website with the idea that the hope is that this will grow like Roots grew. It'll become a festival that happens every year, and it'll get a little bit more, well-known and bigger, and perhaps then a bigger budget, so you can have either more bands or more expensive bands, or maybe you just stay with the local bands because it was fun and it's low-key, and then you don't get the
well, it's so important. I mean, you sort of alluded to it, and I think David's alluded to it, that Ray did want this to go on.
He did.
And it was just a matter of, he had done it for so many years, and it was time to pass the baton, and he was looking for people to do it. And there was always a group of people that were trying to do it, but didn't quite have his level of intensity. So it's neat that you guys have taken this on, and
Yeah, it was like I said, it was David. David had the drive to get the ball rolling, and then the Wild Goose players, and we have some sponsors. We some sponsors have stepped up, and I'm hesitant to name them because I'm afraid I'm going to forget somebody. So be sure if you go to the concert or you check out the website that you look and see all of the local. There's a couple of local banks. There's local businesses. And just realize that they're helping too, because they're helping with the sponsorship, because it's difficult to do something like this the first year. You have no budget. You literally have to kind of hope that you make a certain amount to pay back what you've spent, right? Yeah. So that's where the sponsorship is vital.
There must be something people in the community. First of all, the people in the community need to come and support it and buy tickets and attend and enjoy themselves for the day. But then there are other things, aren't there?
Well, good thing you brought this up, because I would probably be chastised tomorrow at the meeting if I did not bring up the volunteer opportunity.
I imagine there are numerous volunteer opportunities.
There are numerous volunteer opportunities. In fact, if you go to the Bellows Falls Festival.org website, there's a volunteer button. And you can sign up. We're asking people there's different categories that you can sign up for. Like, it's divvied out into categories. So you're not just volunteering and then not knowing what you might end up with. You can actually pick the categories that you want. And I think we're asking for 3-hour blocks of time, which really isn't horrible, because even with volunteering and doing work, you will be at the festival. You will get to see the music, and then if your time is up, I don't think we're going to kick you out. I think you can stay and watch the rest of the festival. So many hands make light work. So this is a big undertaking. There's a lot of little devil in the details things that we're working out right now to make sure that we get the flow as the best that we can. Like, where are we going to put the bag check versus walking through? Are we going to bag check well before people get through, so there's not a bottleneck, and then there'll be a separate area for if you want to have your ID checked. So we're working on those like, where is everybody going to details of how things are going to flow around.
So you brought up a good general. Are there general rules that you
There are some general rules. Basically, don't bring weapons.
That's a good rule. I like that.
Don't bring, and we're gonna run out of time before we get to our clip. Don't bring weapons. Don't bring in glass. Don't bring pets. You can bring
no pet pythons.
No pet pythons.
Okay.
There was a whole list, and I'm totally blanking right now. But generally, it's common sense, and it's stuff that
it's like if you've ever gone to a concert.
A concert, it's all the things. This is the same thing.
You can't. This is because it's in Bellows Falls.
doesn't mean
you can bring your
Barca Lounger
or your keg or
exactly or your fireworks. That was on the list too.
Or your drone or all those things.
Exactly. We are running out of time. We are going to end with a clip of the Memorial Day festivities, because it is May, and May is Memorial Day.
It just was Memorial Day, and Bellows Falls had a ceremony, so we're going to end with that our clip of that ceremony. So see you next week. See you next week.
Color guide, you all set? You all set, Eddie? Very well, Commander. Fire! 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 Order. Up.